everyone, and welcome back to the channel. It looks like fat acceptance hasn't done anything worth talking about this week, so please enjoy this footage of my cat chasing the reflections from our Halloween decorations. Sorry to interrupt this broadcast. We are hearing from our sources that fat acceptance has indeed done something, and Sam is about to lose her mind. She is on scene. We're going to send it over to her right now. Sam, what's going on down there? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam. I know. We've already talked about eugenics on the channel once, and honestly, after that first video, the algorithm just decided this is what you need to see. And I keep getting posts on my Instagram, I've seen them on Twitter, of fat activists saying that dealing with the obesity epidemic is eugenics and that people are looking to eradicate fat people. And they're still going as far as comparing it to the Holocaust. Before we dive into today's video, can we just take a quick moment of silence to think about how insane that is? Go ahead, I'll wait. Yeah, it's insane. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. One of the first posts I saw on Twitter that I was like, okay, a second eugenics video has to exist. And yes, it will make a different point than my first eugenics video, so if you haven't seen that, I will pin it in the comment section below, was this tweet, which reads, "If you are proposing anything based on how it will solve the obesity epidemic, aka get rid of fat people, then you are promoting fascist eugenics policies because you are proposing them for fascist eugenics reasons." After even this first post, which shocked me, things spiraled out of control rather quickly, and I found this tweet, which reads, "Fat people are systematically encouraged to die. The purview of modern medicine is to promote eugenics." What is actually happening right now? How did two people think that these were okay thoughts to just tweet into the universe? I knew that it was getting a little bit out there with the original eugenics arguments, but this is bridging on insanity. Like, how are fat people systemically, targeted to die? Can you pinpoint a policy where that is happening? Because I would like to see it, because I don't think that that's happening. And I don't mean to laugh, I don't know where we go from here. It made me realize that what fat acceptance folks don't seem to understand is that eradicating their body fat is not the same thing as eradicating them as a human being. Which is interesting because some of their arguments center upon not wanting to be judged for their body, right? Being seen as more than their body fat. And yet, with these posts and with these discussions of eugenics, the focus is solely on their body, and by getting rid of their body fat, they view that as a death of their entire body. Which is pretty extreme. But I want to say it one more time for the people who really need to hear it. Eradicating your fat is not the same thing as eradicating you as a human being. You are not your fat. And literally no one wants you to die. People who are looking to fight the obesity epidemic in a sustainable way are trying to lengthen your life. It's literally the opposite of eugenics. And yes, there are many peer-reviewed scientific studies to back that up. But I know, they even think that every peer-reviewed scientific study is out there. Fat phobic. Not true. Which, again, is just baffling for a group of people who are supposed to believe in science. That on this one belief, on this one topic, science is not the answer. But in every other way it is. That's a topic for another day, but here we are. After the first 2 tweets, I didn't think it could get any worse, and then I found this tweet. Fat phobia is an artifact of white supremacy. It fosters eugenics. It confounds misogyny and cis-sexism. Being fat doesn't make one unhealthy or vulnerable to disease or less capable. And even if it did, it still wouldn't be anyone's business to police. And this is the second post that I've seen like this, where they throw in a statement at the end because they know everything they put before the statement is not true. The second one, which I'll throw on the screen here, is from the subreddit Fat Logic. They shared it from somewhere else, obviously, so I don't know the original source. But here's what I pulled from the subreddit. Thank you to whoever found this and posted it there. It reads, 99% of the time, being fat isn't a choice. And even if I was shoving Big Macs into my greasy maw every 2 hours, I would still be deserving of basic decency. And these posts really got to me because they're putting a cover your ass style statement at the end because they know everything they just said before that statement is purposefully misinformation or disinformation. And they need to cover their asses because they know people are going to come at them with science and data. And so the way that they try to automatically overcome that is, well, it doesn't matter if it's scientifically true. It still shouldn't be policed. You should still treat me this certain way, right? And so I think why that really bothers me is if they just came out and said, listen, I'm fat. I know how I got here, and even if I didn't, I don't care. I want to stay fat, and I want you to treat me better, or I want this to happen. I think I could, get behind that a little bit, because at least you're being freaking honest. If you want to be fat and you like being fat, just say that. I don't know why we're trying to do this thing where we're dancing around scientific evidence and just sharing disinformation. It's baffling to me. And again, it baffles me because these people, these fat activists, are tying themselves to larger movements, right? Racism, homophobia, transphobia, fat phobia. They're trying to treat them all the same way. And the people who are typically a part of those causes are liberals, progressives, people who are thinking larger than themselves, right? Who are trying to be future forward, who believe in science, who believe in climate change. And in these instances, they're basically saying well, no, science is wrong because I said so. It doesn't make any sense, and it baffles it. The mental gymnastics it takes to not realize that what you're doing is exactly what you hate in the people that you oppose is interesting to me, for lack of better words. I don't know how else to put it. I have no words for it. And I also want to add that when I say bring science, bring data to back up what you're saying, I don't mean cite your other fat activist friend who made a TikTok without using citations. And we can see that being done in this post here, where this person on Twitter is calling out the BMI for being racist, calling out eugenics and fat phobia, but using Hannah Talks Bodies as their citation. Because we all know that Hannah Talks Bodies is a scientist, right? Has done research in this that's been peer reviewed. That is so circular, and it just doesn't make any sense at all. And again, for people who are so quick to call out other people and be a part of other movements, you think they would know, this is not acceptable. And I wanted to talk about this week because these arguments, just keep bringing me back to how much they contradict themselves every single time they talk. They're claiming eugenics, which is all about eradicating fat people, right? Which means, to me, they're saying they don't see themselves as different from their fat bodies. They're one and the same. Getting rid of body fat means you're getting rid of the whole human. Sounds ridiculous to me, but to them, that's what they're saying when they make these posts. But then sometimes they refer to themselves as folks who live in larger bodies. Like they're trying to distance themselves, who they are as a person, from their body. Literally like it's a commodity, like it's a condo that they live in. It's separate from them. Which I agree with. You are not your fat. I already said that. But there's these two dichotomies that they're trying to force together into a cohesive argument, which just shows how disorganized their thought patterns are. And it really does shine a light on the mental gymnastics it takes to be a part of this movement. Because they're often asking people to see them for more than their body. I mean, we've seen this with people like Lizzo, people like Tess Holliday have said things like, yes, I'm fat, but I'm more than just my body. And I guess it's been hard for me this week to try to figure out why they can't differentiate the fact that they are not their fat. Losing weight is not eradicating a human being. People who have lost weight sustainably and kept it off are still the same person. Like, why? I don't understand. And it could be because the minute somebody loses weight, they just automatically toss them to the side, give them a public lashing, kick them out of the movement without so much as a second thought. So they don't have these different perspectives coming into the movement at all. And I think, honestly, what they need to do is a little bit of inner work on differentiating themselves from their bodies. They need to find something that defines them outside of being fat. And I totally get that. It can be all consuming. I mean, for a long time, it was that way for me. My weight consumed my entire brain. It was all I knew. It was all I could think about. And then came the obsession with food and eating. And what ended up happening in that spiral is I lost myself. I lost my self-worth. I lost my self-confidence. And while fat activists and fat acceptance TikTokers are constantly on the internet screaming about how confident and happy and healthy they are, they wouldn't be screaming all over the internet and consistently angry if that were true. And again, I know from firsthand experience what it's like to be stuck in this circle of consumerism, is what I'll call it. Like, I was lost and I felt like I didn't fit in anywhere. And so then I was projecting while simultaneously consuming everything I could possibly get my hands on, be it buying furniture, buying shit I didn't need, buying food I didn't need, eating food I didn't need, just doing all of these things to try to fill that hole that I was feeling because I didn't know who I was. And while I was filling that hole, I was simultaneously building a physical structure on my body as a shield to keep people away. So I was doing double duty. And I got stuck in that for a really long time. And I projected and I was angry and I couldn't understand why people didn't see it. Right? Like I wanted someone to see it and I wanted someone to help me, which is why in the last video when I was talking about Anna, the realization that you are the only person who can get you out of it is what they need. No one can make them realize that. They have to come to that conclusion on their own. But watching them spread misinformation and disinformation in the process is just really hard not to say anything while they're doing that because it's actively hurting other people. and dredging them with them. When I started to finally separate myself from my fat, when I started to realize I am not my fat, I am not my binge eating disorder, that was when I could truly find myself. I started joining civic clubs that I wanted to be a part of. I started meeting new people. I started doing more things. I got into a job that I'm really good at, that I really love. And all of those things helped me remember who I am and remind me of what I'm capable of and where I want to go. And that gave me purpose and it gave me drive. And it was a reminder of who I am as a human, because I wasn't this consumer-driven person previously. And I knew that there was more out there. It was just a matter of having to dig deep and do the work and grieve the loss of whatever I thought I was losing at the time to move forward. So I'm hoping that they can find that. But the conversations on eugenics they're too far. And they're getting so far that they're comparing again to the Holocaust. And as someone who studied genocide studies, honestly, even a Holocaust comparison is not something that should be done, because the Holocaust has given us grounds to actually ignore other genocides that have taken place and are taking place currently. It's just what we do as humans, because governments don't want to help, they don't want to step in, they don't think it's their place. It's a nightmare scenario for everyone involved. And for a group, honestly, dealing with first world problems, to complain and compare themselves and their oppression to the Holocaust as an oppressed group who makes up almost half of American citizenship, like, how oppressed are you actually? Because you're not even a minority anymore. You're almost a majority. So I just wanted to shine some more light on this, because the only way you can get rid of the dark is to shine the light on it. And I want to remind people that you can't take these really serious historic events and, I guess in the words of Splotchmaker, water them down. What's happening is you're desensitizing people to these comparisons of things that were so horrible. You're comparing them to your first world problems. And what will end up happening is, if something really serious does begin to happen, people won't be there. And saying that doctors are promoting eugenics and trying to eradicate fat people is only making people who are vulnerable more afraid of the doctor. Just like we saw with Anna, just like we see in some other fat activist posts, they're afraid to go to the doctor. And it's because of these talking points that they're afraid to do that. And so, again, I just want to shine light on the darkness, because that's the only way you can get rid of it. So, getting rid of fat is not the same as getting rid of a human being. And that's, like, period. That's all you can say about it. So before I ramble anymore, I'm going to go ahead and sign off on this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of my comments on eugenics and their other arguments relating to it, I will pin that video in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.